Thanks for coming here. So in the middle we will have a little demo just to show like some bits of it. Of course, like showing the entire platform would take a lot of time. So first I would like to tell a little about why like the industrial companies are really interested in all these things. Maybe it's obvious, but why then doing it open source? And so software is becoming a crucial element. Like everything is going towards software. For example, today in the automotive industry, more and more the innovations are coming from the software part. So for example, in this case, they're saying roughly about 90% is coming from the software part. So it's not, it's not a miracle that like many voices out of the industrial manufacturer companies are saying that things like that. Every industrial company will become a software company. So there are like reasons why these companies are doing this. I think it's not that interesting to discuss that in detail here, but more or less it's for them it's open. They're using open source to reach business goals. And so going to the IoT stuff, just to understand why Bosch is interested in this stuff, we have, for example, this device, and it's on many construction sets, so they are looking for something, a way so they can, like the people are buying that, they're looking for a way to make sure that they know where their devices are, and for example also to know when they're getting lost. And so that's one application. It's called like Track My Tool, and it's actually just tracking these devices on the different construction sets. Another thing is this thing. It's just a little thing for parking spaces where it detects if there is a car actually on top of it. Very simple. The problem is actually that Bosch is producing something like 1 million devices per day. So you can imagine what that means if you build like for every single use case their own software stack. Another thing is, so that's only like individual devices. But now we're coming to bigger things that are aggregated from many different devices. For example, in a car, there are like tons of different devices in there, and the future is that they will become connected. So you also have to aggregate all these things, and you have to get these things working as well. So now coming to the real stuff, that's the motivation behind it. We need something that is putting all these things together. And you have like 3 different stacks that are really interesting: constraint devices, gateways, and the IoT cloud platform. So today I will focus on the IoT cloud platform. That's the part that is really the interesting thing, because there everything is coming together. So the current situation is that typically you have isolated solutions for every device class, and every vendor you have one stack. Of course, there are like generic components in there, but still it is one stack for one use case. Actually, what many people want is something like that. They want to have a generic IoT platform in the middle, so you have IoT solutions on top. And also the interesting thing is you have it cross-domain. So you can connect devices from different domains together in the same platform, so you can build solutions that are like spreading over these domains. And of course, it should be cross-vendor, because typically you don't want to have only devices from one vendor, for example, in your house or like in your entire life. So it needs to be cross-vendor, cross-domain. How to achieve that is really hard. So, and everyone wants to get into this generic IoT platform. So everyone wants to provide this generic IoT platform, and so it's a huge competition going on. Who's providing this generic IoT platform? So everyone that is somehow connected to that is trying to make this race, and so the decision for us was, I think the best idea is to do it like to a large extent as open source. And so the idea is not going this way, have a closed third-party IoT platform, not like buying it from someone or just going on top of that, but building it not by ourselves, because then we would just have the same problem, but instead having an open IoT platform. So that's the basic idea, have an open IoT platform. So how can you actually do this? So we were looking around and we were like looking for the best thing, the best fit. So what is the best approach to that? And what we found was the Eclipse IoT working group. So we got really engaged into that, and we started like doing that for like 2 years ago or something, when we got really serious about it. And so one of this element, so I said there will be one demo. One of this is Hawkbit. So Eclipse Hawkbit is one open source project. What is the functionality for it? So just imagine you have like thousands and millions of the devices that are out there, and you need to update the software on it. Maybe just a part of it. Maybe you want to like add just one component into that, or you wouldn't want to update the entire device. Whatever it is, you need to roll it out, and that's sometimes really hard. And typically what you want to do, you want to have first, you need to make sure that you have every device in your list. You want to make sure that every device in there is in the same state, or you know exactly in which state it is. You want to control these things, and you also want to see, for example, if it works. First you would do like a test rollout for like some devices and all that stuff. So that's the idea behind Eclipse Hawkbit. So I just have a little video. I even will not say much about it. It's around 4 minutes. There you will see how actually you can, what you can do it. And it's more or less just compiling Hawkbit, the source code, deploying it into Bluemix. So it's not like our platform, so that shows it's not like somehow depending to Bosch or something. It's setting up the environment, add devices, create tags, upload artifacts, set up an upgrade campaign for a given filter set, and execute the campaign and show that Hawkbit provides live reports as well as detailed logs for post-mortem analysis. So I will show that. I hope I can get it on the right screen. No, this thing is gone. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, the box is being... let's bypass the box. Let's see if this works.
Great.
Is it audio?
No.
Okay.
We don't know audio on it. It's also on YouTube. So just to show that actually there is some real code and you can actually run it. It's not just like some PowerPoint slides or anything like that. And it's accessible to everyone. Of course, what you need is you need like something. You need access to something like Bluemix or like another Cloud Foundry instance. For example, it's also Benjamin. So Benjamin Cabet has actually compiled that. So that's again showing it. You don't actually be part of Bosch or anything like that to do all this stuff. He also got it running on General Electric's Predix. So it's not depending that much on single providers for Cloud Foundry. So I will. For these people that do not want to look at this stuff, I just will tell a little bit more about the entire setting. So it's there's other companies working on all these things. So for example, another platform that is supported is OpenShift from Red Hat. So Red Hat is included in there in the Eclipse IoT working group. It's many companies, but there are some that are more active. And at the moment, it's, for example, Red Hat that is really active, and Eurotech. And so we have many different parts of the puzzle that are actually going towards this cloud platform. But it's so at the moment, this is like one piece of the puzzle. And yeah, I don't want to distract too much, so at least you can, the ones that want to see it, can have a rough imagination of it. Yeah, so it's the idea is that you have this generic IoT layer on top of like a cloud layer, so that you can then connect any device to it that is supporting it. Of course, it needs to be somehow attached to this cloud platform. That will be the next component that I will present. It's called Hono, and it's another piece of the puzzle. So more and more pieces are coming together, so that at the end of the day you will actually have an entire platform ready there in the Eclipse IoT working group. So that can be then used by everyone just to connect devices in a very generic way. So that's actually the way you just deploy that stuff to the corresponding devices, and you can then also follow up the state of it. So that was like a really quick way how to get something like Hawkbit up and running. And as I said, that's just one of the components. Should I reconnect this with?
Try, it would be better. That one should go there. That records your slides as well.
Yeah, with the slides it was working.
And it still is?
Yes.
Great, okay.
Okay. I just don't see it here. There it is. Okay. So as I said, another thing what you need is you need to connect all these different devices with all their different protocols somehow to this cloud platform. And that is exactly the idea. How can you actually do that? How many different technologies do you need to get all these different devices with all these different protocols connected? And the answer is, it's a little bit like a joke, just one. Of course, it's not. Of course, you need a lot of things in the background. But the idea is that you have one component that is the central component to handle all these things, and that is Hono. It has like one thing that is doing the brokering of all the messaging and everything like that. And then you have a lot of different protocol adapters that handle all these different protocols. But there is a general challenge with all these IoT devices, especially when it goes into thousands and millions and more devices, because then you have a lot of data, telemetry data that is going one direction. You have a little bit command and control data that is going both directions, and the problem is that typically command and control, they should not get lost, while the telemetry data, okay, it's fine when like 1 or 2 temperature information is not going through, but for example then you also have some messages that really should go through, for example an emergency call from a car that just crashed. So handling all these different things is actually a real challenge, and that is what Hono is trying to make sure that it works. And also that giving all the software behind that a common interface, so they do not have to deal with all the single implementations of all the different protocols. So the goal is actually to have a ready-to-deploy Microsoft-based IoT cloud platform, and to have one technology that everyone is agreeing on, and that we can have actually something that works for everyone. And that is, of course, a really hard goal. But at the end of the day, that is what is needed by the market or by the people. And so we are trying to get there as good as possible, and we hope that this is working out. So the basic idea is exactly so the different use cases that I just described, to map that and get these different components that are currently already there together in one setup, so that you have this open source IoT cloud platform. So these are just like other different projects. There's the MQTT project, not MQTT, but here it's using MQTT as a protocol adapter. But there's also two projects, Mosquito and Paho, that is dealing with MQTT, and they can be used in here. Then there's Lishan as a lightweight M2M protocol adapter, and there's also, for example, REST and HTTP, so you can, for example, do debugging. And on the server part, you have things like Hawkbit, or then, for example, you have the applications, Track My Tool, or the parking lot management, and so you have one interface that is handling all the data communication with the devices. So another thing is, I just want to show you that there are like a lot of different areas that need to be somehow addressed. So another area that is a big problem is actually the abstraction layer for the devices. You need one way to describe the devices so all the different tools can somehow deal with them. And the idea was, okay, there are so many different standards and protocols. Of course, they're coming out of different domains. So we need one way that we can somehow abstract that away or translate it. And the idea behind that is Eclipse Warto. So you can have you have importers and you have exporters. So you can look at it as a tool that is translating device descriptions from one thing to another one. So that is a rough picture of like some of the projects. So in this picture that I've just given, we covered Warto, Hono, and also Hawkbit. But there's also Californium, which is a co-op stack, and we also have Lishan, that is a lightweight M2M. I said something about Mosquito and Paho. That's the MQTT stuff. There's also another interesting project that has just been started, Eclipse Kapua. It has been started by Eurotech. In a way, they open sourced their entire backend for the IoT stuff. And now we are working onto integrating all these things together somehow, that we can actually have one platform. It's still on the way, but let's see where it's going. So these are I think this is quite up to date. This is the current members of the Eclipse IoT working group. It's really a lot of interesting projects going on, and it's really good to do that together with all these different companies and also individuals. It's also another thing to get that forward and get it into other situations. For example, there's the Abstacle project that will start in May. It's about connecting cars with each other, or not only with each other, but with the cloud platform. So it's one use case for one domain, and this will be also open source. It's a publicly funded project, and for example, the Eclipse Foundation is participating there as well. So we just talked about the layer, the Eclipse IoT layer. So that's the IoT specific layer. But this needs to run on some kind of cloud layer. So we have chosen to use Cloud Foundry at the moment. But there, as I said, Red Hat, for example, is putting it on OpenShift, and other companies are putting it on other stuff. So there are many different cloud technologies at the moment that would work. I just wanted to give an overview about Cloud Foundry, just like some numbers, how many companies and projects there are involved, and it's also open source. So it's this way you have a complete open source stack. You just need below that the infrastructure as a service stack. So the crucial point is that actually no one can do this IT stuff or IoT stuff alone. You need a lot of people that are joining together, because of course also this platform, the crucial thing is that it will be adopted, that people are working on it, that people are coming together and make this work. if someone thinks this is not the right platform and something else is much better, that's also really interesting for us, and I think also for everyone in the Eclipse IoT working group, because if it is open source, it might be a good idea then to join forces and just collaborate somehow. So that's roughly what we've done in the recent past to, that's our ramp up. So we started roughly in 2014, and we got we started more projects. We even became strategic member of the Eclipse Foundation. So for a company like Bosch, it's really new to get into all these things, and it's getting more and more forward. So that's a good idea. And it's really great what is happening inside the Eclipse IoT community. There are already 2.2 million lines of code, 26 projects, and it's getting more and more. More than 210 developers and 110,000 monthly visitors. And all the numbers are moving forward. So if you're interested, that would be really great. It would be really great that more and more people are coming in so we can build this open source IoT platform together. And one opportunity to do that is we have a hackathon at the Bosch. It's called the Bosch Connected Experience, where we also are trying to do a little bit more of getting into the coding stuff. And that's for students, startups, and things like that. It's for free. And for corporate visitors, it's typically it costs a little fee. For them, most of the time, it's not a problem. But I also could provide some for corporate visitors. I can provide some free tickets. So if you're interested one way or the other, just go on the website, or you could just contact me. It would be really great. And yeah, so in general, it would be absolutely great if you can give feedback, if you can just join or help or discuss or contribute, start other projects, integrate it somewhere, test it, port it. So it's getting more and more better and better, and so we can have one day like a great open source IoT platform on these three stacks. So that's the goal, and it would be great if it would work out. So thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Yeah?
What are the competitors doing, like Siemens or...
For example, if Siemens was on there as well.
Repeat the question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The question was, what are the competitors doing? For example, Siemens. So Siemens is also participating here somehow. They are also in the Eclipse IoT working group. So and they've, for example, for Eclipse Hawkbit, they've been working on the part that is on the device. So it's so there are collaborations with many competitors. Of course, there are also other open source approaches. So we're still in the point where everyone is trying to figure out what is the future. Yes?
Do you see any advantage from your side, because you have a full range of products, starting from like automation product or pneumatics and everything, ranging to automation, respect to an automation company that goes on the other way around. You do the physical stuff and you move up, and the other guy that goes from the software to the physical, because you also have the product, and like Siemens and other big companies. Do you see a difference in approach and an advantage from your side, or?
So the question was if there are the hardware vendors and there are the software vendors, or like companies that are hardware-based and software-based, and so if there is a different approach between the two, and I can definitely say yes. So, for example, it's totally the development methods and the speed and all these things are very different. So, but it's becoming obvious that both have to adjust, because with the Internet of Things, these two different domains are coming together. So we can see differences, and it's one of the challenge to find a way to collaborate.
Yes, but you will get people into you. I mean, that's it can be two separate entities, or I mean, a real joining, not collaboration, or joining would be a better approach to get into this.
I think collaboration is the key. So these two domains have to collaborate together, and I think exactly open source is the right way to do that. So I think my time is up. Thanks for everyone. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.
Exactly.